What is up, guys? Again, NotTheWorst here, bringing another Black Desert online video, and today we're taking a look at Cadry for another silver breakdown. We've covered this place several times in the past, however, it has been updated with the new Valencia trash loot changes, and we just recently got some Valencia BMC updates as well, so I thought it'd be a good time, since I'm not really progressing for anything specific in my gear at the moment, to revisit this and take a look and kind of go through some of the Valencia spots. Now, if you're familiar with Cadry, which I'm sure most are, you can use the timestamps in the bottom if you just want to see the data for that. I'm going to be covering some of the differences and finer things of what's changed since then, so if you want to stick around and check that out, of course, more than welcome to. First up, let's go ahead and take a look at the item drops. I'll be covering the elites that are here if you're not familiar with those, and kind of how the rotation works, because you'll notice there's not really two rotations once we dive into it. So first up, for the items, we have these syrup necklaces that drop common Valencia item. The thing about these is they're only going to drop from the elite mobs that are in this area for it. The regular mobs have no chance of dropping this. Then of course we have the Cadry ring that's available. Both of these items are, for the most part, you're probably going to melt for Yona fragments. They melt 3 to 5, so an average of 4 Yona fragments for those, and you probably just make crescent rings out of them since they're worth 50 mil a piece, but you know, you may have another use for them. Our trash loot drop here is 15,700. Notably, that is higher than Histria. Of course, with the new Valencia trash loot changes, it is guaranteed that every mob will drop 1 piece. If you use a blue scroll, it will still only drop 1 piece. However, if you use a blue scroll with Agris, it will drop 3 pieces, and if you use a yellow scroll by itself, it will drop 2 pieces. Not recommended that you use a yellow scroll with Agris, because that will also only drop 3 pieces of trash as well. We'll dive into some of the specifics of what to do with the scrolls when we check out the data towards the end. These other 2 trash pieces are nothing. They just kind of happen. We've got Trace of Death in the area. We have 1 BMC. This used to only drop off the elites. This has recently been changed. It's not a massively high BMC drop rate, but you'll see that when we look at the spreadsheets for it. So just 1 available there. This place is an absolute Blackstone gold mine. You're going to get an absolute ton of Blackstones just grinding normally here. And then you'll also have a chance to be dropping these Blackstone armor and weapon bundles. These are bundles that roll between 25 to 50 Blackstones. I can tell you, out of the many of these that I got in the time that I spent here, only one of them rolled at 25. And in fact, that one that rolled 25 was the only one that rolled below 40. So either I got insanely lucky on my rolls on these, or I wouldn't be too surprised to see that the hidden stats on this was that it was a little bit more likely that you hit the higher end of Blackstones, and this really does impact your money per hour, especially if you're picking up several of these. Peel-of-Face scrolls, I was going to say ancient scrolls, but same thing. Peel-of-Face scrolls do drop here as well. You'll notice that the elites have a much higher drop rate on them. They're pretty frequently dropped from the elites, but any mob can drop them as usual. We've got our Asula stuff, which is just 100k trash there. Of course, Marnie's research box. Then you have these 3 items here. These are interesting pieces. They're called, I just refer to all of them as ring pieces, although they have different names between them. What you do with these is it takes 1 blue ring and one pink ring and 1 black thing to create a Cadry ring. Okay, and these pieces can also be used, unlike other areas where you need 2 pieces, like the Bazzi belt, you need the 2 pieces to combine. They can actually create each other. Okay, so in order to make a black piece here, you can use the pink one. 5 of these will create 1 of these, and 9 of the rings will create 1 of the pink ones here. So effectively, that means it takes 55 of the base piece, the blue ring, 55 of these total, if you assign the value of 1 of these is worth 9, 1 of these is worth 5 of these. Take 55 to make a ring. So that's how I factor them. When we look at the charts, you'll see ring pieces from there, and set to a value of 1/55th of a Cadry ring. Cadry rings being valued at average of 4 Yona fragments. Yona fragments being valued at 1/15th of a crescent ring. Of course, we got Ancient Spirit Dust, which drops pretty frequently, as do Kaffir Stones. Not bad at all. Spectre's Energy is a possibility from here. I didn't see one. You'll get Massive Pure Magic, and then a really welcome update to the Cadry area is the Rosar weapon drop. In the past, we got a ton of Blackstones from this area because you would get a lot of Rosar weapons, and a lot of them would be enhanced, so you could extract the Blackstones from them and get some nice rolls on those. 14s and 15s dropping frequently. Potentially maybe make a Prior Duo out of a 15 if it dropped, and make a little extra cash that way. This has been removed, and you're just going to drop these boxes. It is way better. You will not be getting enhanced ones, but you will be getting more Blackstones than you did when they were enhanced ones from this zone. But now you don't have to worry about inventory and weight management. They're only 0.1 each. They stack, so even when you're averaging 100 per hour of these things, you're going to pretty easily be able to carry them around without any issue. Cadry in the past did suffer from that problem. You would have to stop and melt these down from time to time to clear up room, or just trash them. This is frequently what I did. Depending on what your choice was between that, it would definitely cut into your grind time. That's no longer an issue. You can just run it straight. So now that we've covered what the item drops are, the actual area itself is in Valencia's zone. You're going to head out just northeast east of Altanova here, and it's located right there. You have to connect a little bit through Altanova if you want to get the node activated for you there. So you can see the pathway gateway up to Rock Post, and then Veterans Canyon to Cadry Ruins. If you want to pick that up, all of those areas here do relay to the Cadry Ruins, because some zones don't do that. Next up, I'll kind of show you the rotation, and I'm saying rotation because there's not really a grindable rotation other than the one. You could potentially have two people here. One person's going to suffer drastically from what they're able to kill, since this is a one-shot type grind zone spot. There are elites here, and that's kind of how you want to spend your time grinding. So I'll show you each of those spots going forward, and then the rotation that I use when I'm on server cooldown, because you do want to stay swapping as much as you can servers to pick up the elites. This is one right here. That's what he looks like there, Cadry Commander. That's the elite, so this is spawn number 1 for him. And if we go to the other side of the circle, you can see on the mini-map he is up as well. So there he is. That's number 2. And then we're going to head back to the stairs and go up here to head towards number 3. You can kind of see grinding that circle is not bad, but obviously you'll overclear that very quickly. And then managing these stairs up and down, or the other stairs on the other side around, to try and make a grind zone out of that, it's honestly not super worth. It's not like this spot is busy by any means, so just server swapping, if the elites aren't up, should be fine. And you really want to get kind of the only good rotation when we get to the back. Number 3 is right here. It spawns in the hallway. It looks like we might have a full server this round, which would be nice for explanatory purposes. Number 4 is going to be coming up right here after we pass through this little broken gateway. So there he is. That's where he spawns. And now you're going to notice the mobs are much better packed, more densely packed, so you'll be able to fly through these, you know, as you're zipping whatever your one-shot skills are coming in. And then you'll get into the absolute density right here, which is where our actual grind zone is. We have 3 more elites that spawn in this back 2 on this circle here. So we see number 1, he's actually by that tower right there. And number 2, he'll spawn over in this corner. Sometimes he likes to walk like directly on this ledge, so be a little careful when attacking him. Plenty of times I fall down here, and then he takes forever to like actually come down also and line up with me to attack, so it can kind of kill a little bit of your time. And then the last one spawns at the bottom right down here. So that's the final spawn for those elites. So your grind is going to pretty much consist of targeting those guys and then swapping servers once you've killed them, or there weren't any, every 10 minutes for cooldown. So you stay on top of that and try and catch it every 10 minutes for that cooldown. As far as grinding, you can see really nice dense packs that you have here. So you're just going to grind through all these dudes. This giant thing circles all the way around here. So you can just use this as your rotation. And just work all the way around. I'll go ahead and run it real quick. There is another side piece that I do use, whether the gatekeeper is up or not. You can choose to avoid it, and I'll show you how. If you kind of can't tank the gatekeeper, which is likely the case when you're at the actual gear level for this place. But you can decide to come through the circle and just go down these stairs, and then we're right back on the other side, and you can just go down that way. If you do have the gatekeeper not up on your server, or you can kind of just ignore him and get by him without too much damage. You can see he's not spawned on this side. Then you get access to these packs over here. The gatekeeper spawns, and he'll kind of pace back and forth between here. He hurts a lot. It's designed for party members, so you definitely don't want to waste your time trying to kill him by yourself. It'll take quite a while regardless of your gear, and if you're doing it by yourself, it's not going to be worth the amount of time and effort that you're putting into it. If you want to grab a group, get some buddies and do it, it can actually be worth it, but I don't personally actually bother with that these days. So there you have the rotation. There you have where the elite spawns are, and again, every 10 minutes you're just going to keep swapping servers to get as many elites as you can. The good news about this spot is, although elites are something you want to get because it will improve your trash loot, this place actually still performed very well, even in scenarios where I didn't have very many elite spawns, or just got unlucky and somebody had just recently cleared them out. Whatever the case may be from there. So its baseline is actually still good, even if you're not hitting a whole lot of elites from here. As far as gear requirements for this, obviously I just on my Kudum setup, I'm way over geared for this spot. It's rated at a 140 AP zone. You probably need to be around 180, 190 minimum for this. I would say just test it out with your character. This is going to depend on class more so than just the gear, what types of skills you have the ability to use, and what you're looking to do is you want to be able to one-shot. If you have maybe a spammable skill like DK has Pervasive Darkness, if that one-shots even when it's on cooldown, so I don't care about it, it's very fast, it's going to kill everything in one hit, then I would stick with something like this. Using that is going to allow you to just move very quickly between the packs. As far as the minimum, if you're not killing mobs in at least 2 skills, I don't think this is going to be the spot for you just yet, because you're going to be a little too slow. Your trash loot's not going to line up. You're not going to get as many opportunities to get some rolls for Cadry rings and scrolls and that sort of thing. So it might be a little bit of a waste of time if you are more than 2 skills, I would say. Again, class dependent, so try it out for yourself and see if your class can handle it. Obviously, some classes have a lot more accessibility for this kind of thing based on how their skills are set up. Now that we've covered that, let me go ahead and get the spreadsheets pulled up. I'll talk about what buffs we used and see what kind of numbers we pulled. Okay, so we've got our spreadsheets here, and you're going to see that I have 2 different actual charts up, and that is because I have these factored 2 different ways. Whether you want to run just the yellow scroll for the location, or if you're interested in burning some Agris, then a blue scroll with Agris, what the difference in numbers will be. The actual rare drop that way is going to be exactly the same amount. Yellow versus blue doesn't change your rare drop chance, but it does change your trash loot amount. So again, yellow scroll by itself is 2 trash loot each mob, and the blue scroll with Agris is going to be 3 trash loot for each mob. Other than that, they're going to be the same. As far as buffs that I use, as you saw earlier, I did have a level 10 node for this place. I used yellow scroll and then just factored what it would be at 3 trash for blue and Agris, just because I didn't really want to use my Agris for this zone. Although it's not a bad option for any place in Valencia right now, just because of how that mechanic works. If you do want to burn it up. There, I did have the tier 4 Jaguar pet that gives 4% item drop chance. Kama's Blessing was also running alongside that, but no tent buff or any other extraneous. From that amount, my ecology buff is 12% drop rate. So that is all of the drop increases that I had while I was running this. So overall, the average that I pulled running just yellow scroll, no Agris here, was 329, so about 330 mil from this, and we'll break down what caused that in just a little bit, because these numbers for this low of a grind zone is actually kind of mind-blowing. And then close to 400 mil if you use blue scroll with Agris on this, 391.5, about 392, which I think is just absolutely insane for the gear requirement of this place. Obviously, I can make 600 mil plus running around with Elvia spots, but when you factor in what's actually required to grind to this place, it's insane. Now, to break down these hours too, because you might be like, oh, well, this spot might get busier if people know that it's this good kind of thing. If a new season starts up, it's probably going to be busy. You probably just got a ton of elites. Actually, no. I mean, I did in some cases. I never had a full set where I always got every elite rotation. I did have hours where I had a good number of elites. I also had, this one was, I literally had 3 throughout my entire hour on this, and you can see the 301 number kind of being the bottom line there. This was our baseline, almost virtually no elites at all on it. Still worthwhile to grind this, depending on where your gear level is at. We did peak at a 350 mil hour for the hour on that, as far as across the total amount, 350 being the peak. You do notice a trash correlation with the number of elites that you spawn. So these ones where we were in the 8,000s, most of these, this one actually I did have a lot of elites as well. Most of these are instances where there weren't as many elites, and then your trash loot numbers, you'll notice, go down a little bit because you're spending more time killing elites. They're incredibly tanky. They do have a cap on them. So even if you're ultra AP good, they soak up a bit of your time, especially getting a lot spawning. So it's not uncommon to see around 1,000 trash loot less if you hit a ton of elites, but you'll make up for it in your rare drops. As far as what was actually dropping, I did end up averaging 106 Rosars, those Rosar weapon boxes per hour. We had about 14 scrolls per hour, 4.5 crystals. For this, I can tell you mostly these come off of the elites, but I did indeed have some that were coming off regular mobs. It's just very clear that the elites have a much higher chance of dropping them as well. This is a pretty good improvement prior to the BMC buff, because we were seeing more like 2 average or so before that, 1 to 2 maybe even before this, and it was pretty much strictly the elites that these were drawing. So a little bit of a buff there does make a bit of an impact, especially when they're selling at 6 mil a piece. Kaffir's averaged about 16, which was a surprise to me since I haven't been here since they did buff the Kaffir's amounts, so that was a welcome surprise to see a bit there. Dust was interesting. So it was a 36 average, but you can kind of see the amounts were really all over the place. That's not really something I'm used to seeing. You typically get like a pretty consistent amount of dust if you take a place like Blood Wolves, Sacrea, something like that. You're used to seeing pretty consistently the same dust. It's not a high rare drop item. You get it pretty consistently, but this did kind of fall in with elites. High number of elite spawns in that is going to yield more dust. They have a higher drop rate for it. So we did have a range of 16 in our worst hour, which, as you can see, I wasn't getting elites, hence higher trash loot. 22 there, higher trash loot because not as many elites, and then my lowest trash loot because I had a lot of elites, and 77 dust was our peak number there, averaging us out to 36. But just wanted to point out how swingy it was. That range 16 to 77 is very large, so it can be a little misleading when you try to say that the average is 36. It is, but it's a very wide range. Blackstones, I averaged 202. You can see at my peak there was 336. That particular hour, I believe I had 4 or 5 of the Blackstone bundles. And then I did indeed have hours where I got no Blackstone bundles. When those happen, these were the 150 hours. I did actually have one here, but you typically see if you're clearing quickly in one shot like that and staying on top of your swaps, making sure you're staying on top of the packs quickly. 150 is a pretty decent baseline to pull. I think there was one that was 138 was lower. Obviously, no weapon bundles on that. But considering that's the start, just grinding the mobs normally, staying on top of your elite rotations with it to still get almost 150 Blackstones out of that. The weapon stone bundles themselves are just kind of the icing, on top to pull 300 at a location like this with the price that Blackstones are and the amount that are needed right now for the different types of gear progression that people are going for. That's insane. It's really, really helpful to get that. I tracked pedals. We kind of know how these work. World drop rate. These stay pretty consistently around 0.1 every hour or so. But it came out to about 1 every hour still. That's universal. Ring piece, this is what I was talking about in the item drop section. So again, it takes 55 ring pieces to create 1 ring from it there, so I valued them accordingly. Obviously, getting a higher graded piece, one of the black pieces or a couple of pink pieces, is going to mean you have a higher number here. Rings, I actually started off, I was kind of amazed that I was getting more than 1 per hour in the early onsets, and then the last 3 hours saw what I was expecting to see, which was no ring drops at all at that point. So yeah, we eventually got there. We ended up averaging just a little bit under 1 per hour. This does include if I dropped the amount of ring pieces to combine into a ring. For instance, this hour I just dropped a raw ring itself. Then I also got enough ring pieces to create a second ring, so I just moved that over to ring and then left the ring pieces at 7, which were the ones remaining over. Yona fragments, these were an average of 3 on there, and syrup I only got 1, so of course 0.1 being the average, or 1 out of 10 hours. Again, these only drop off of the elite mobs there. As far as the values for these, you can see I have these slightly higher than what the rings are actually listed right this half a second on the marketplace. Of course, if you check it tomorrow or you catch this video a month from now, it's going to differ. How I valued these is based off of crescent rings. Crescent rings are currently going for a little higher than 50 mil actually at the moment. I did price them at 50 mil. It then takes 15 Yona fragments to create a crescent ring, so we divide that amount, and then you give both the Cadry ring and the syrups a value of 4 Yona fragments. They can actually roll 5, but they can also roll 3, so we want to take an average here and value them at the price of 4 Yona fragments, which puts them just slightly above what they sell for if you want to just sell them directly on the marketplace. I really don't recommend you do that. You might as well just melt them down and make the crescent rings. It's going to be a better value for you that way, and it's very simple. So there you have it. That is the numbers. Of course, the amounts are the same for the Blue Loot Scroll and Agris. It's just a difference in trash, which gives us a higher average amount there. But that is Cadry. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section. Personally, I think this is an amazing spot to grind once you're able to one-shot the mobs and into different packs. Comparing this to other Valencia areas, we'll have to see as I progress through them, so we get a kind of comparison with the same class, the same amount of gear, same player piloting it, to kind of give us a comparison of what to expect when you grind these. Obviously, different classes are going to perform better at different places depending on how far apart mobs are, if your class is better at closing distance, or just being given access to actually grind a spot because your class is just a better PvE grinder, things like that. But we'll get an evened out as I go through the other Valencia areas. I can tell you I already started on Crescents. That's going to be the next one coming up, so definitely subscribe if you want to catch that video too, to check out the comparison. Or if you want to, I'm doing most of this grind on the Twitch page, so if you want to jump over there, there's a link in the description. Head on over to that and you can watch me while I'm working on these grinds live, so you get kind of a heads up of what the money per hour is looking like as we progress through the Valencia spots. I can't guarantee I'm going to do all of them, but I'm definitely going to do at least some. Crescents is definitely there and already started. Nagas and Fogans I'll for sure be doing, and of course Sulfur, because everyone's raving about that one. That one I might save for last, but who knows, I might just get the feeling to do it. Anyways, that's gonna be it for this video. Be sure to like it if you did enjoy it. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you get notifications when new videos do go live. And once again, if you'd like to catch me playing live, there's a link to my Twitch page in the description down below. Jump on over there, drop a follow so you get notifications for that as well. With that said, that's going to be it for this one. Want to thank everybody for watching, and I will see you next time.